Fuck everything, I just want to be happy. I don't really care much if drawings are good or bad. Hi everyone, I'm Jesper. I'm a Magic the Gathering artist and a fantasy artist, a bird watcher and a bird painter.
Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
I'm actually really happy to see you again.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Could you walk someone through maybe your daily or weekly routine when it comes to producing art, but also...
I spend less time actually drawing and painting than I used to, but I think more about it than I'm used to. I used to work many hours. I used to slaver a lot on the sketching and try so many different things. And I found out now that it's better for me to get the assignment, let it mill a little bit or linger in my head and spend a couple of days just thinking about it when I'm doing the dishes or anything else, or going to sleep at night. Try to imagine what it is that I'm gonna do and how I can solve it. And I find that helps me when I actually sit down and start drawing. And the reason why I changed is because I deliberately changed my work ethics to work less hours, but more focused. One of the reasons is because I want to go out bird watching and photographing birds, but it's also I want to waste less time, be more efficient. And I think maybe it's something that comes with getting older. You're just tired of all the bullshit. I want to be efficient. So my day starts usually, I get up, I talk an hour with my wife after the kids leave, I go to my studio. Depending on what bird is in the area, I'm going straight to the studio, or maybe I go to a park and photograph birds. But usually I go to the studio and I'm in the studio around 10. And then I start collecting the thoughts and start sketching my project. And that is my project, I mean, that's a magic card, because that is more or less my only client now.
You have a week for a card, right?
No, 2 months.
2 months for one card?
Yeah, per card. But often I will have a couple of cards within them, but you have basically around a month to do the sketches and a month to do the final paintings. Okay. So within that time, I usually do between 2 to 3 paintings. That means I only do 1 painting every second week. It sounds lazy, but it's not, because a lot of time there's so much of my time that is also, shipping out posters to people, shooting a video, signing stuff over the internet, making accountant stuff, or there's a lot of annoying business related to it. So, but I usually go and I sketch and work, and then I leave around 4 o'clock. So that means I have an effective work day on only 6 hours.
Would you recommend this type of work also for anyone who practices to go into that routine?
I don't think so, because I think the only reason why I can do that is because I built it on so many years of, I know what I cannot do, and I also know what I'm good at. So the only reason why I think I'm able to do this now is because when I was 20 and 35, I just worked constantly. There was no really end to my work, which is also fine, because when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're full of all that energy and you have a drive and you want to proceed, you want to become better and better. But I don't no longer feel like I need to be better. I know how to draw anatomy. I think I covered the basics. So I'm more concerned of what I'm using the basics for. And that's a thought process. It's not a technical thing. So I don't feel like I need to study and work harder. I think I need to work better. That's the difference.
Let's say we would have a machine to make you 18 again, and
Yes.
you would want to pursue art.
Oh yeah.
With today's structure, how would you approach it?
Easy. I would do exactly what Even Emonsen did and what Karl Kopinski did. I would sit down and do one kick-ass drawing every single day and post it on the internet. Any channel possible on the internet. Because what I did not have back then was exposure. And I didn't have the ability to meet other artists unless I found a phone book and called them up and said, "Are you this guy who makes this?" And I did that because that was the only way to reach my idols. But now the connection between artists is incredibly easy. And I'm so envious of that, because building communities and knowledge and talking with other artists is helping them, it's helping you, and it builds so much of your own confidence. I have had that through my studio buddies. I've always been working in a studio, and we use each other a lot for advices and stuff like that. I think I would do the exposure thing as the first thing. And it doesn't even matter if your drawings are good. It just matters that you do something consistently, and you just every single day do something that will build your followers, your reputation. And in the end, it's going to be a visual vocabulary over your growth as an artist.
So you also would share maybe not so good drawings.
Yes. Also because I think I don't really care much if drawings are good or bad, if the intention behind them and the story behind them or the idea behind them are fantastic or great.
Does this maybe come with maturity and age, or maybe when you were 18 that this wouldn't be the case, that you think like this, you know? Because like when you were younger, you want to be like, I want to make this great, the greatest thing ever. You know,
Yeah.
higher expectations for yourself. Now you have all the experience, much wiser. So would you say that you think a bit differently?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. I think there's a jump every 10 years as a creative artist. Like when you're 20, when I was 20, I thought, I'm almost the best in the world. Let's go, I can do anything. And then when I became 30, I was like, maybe I'm not this good. Maybe I need to practice this and this more, but I'm getting there. When I turned 40, it was like, okay, I'm not gonna be the best in the world, but I'm gonna be happy with what I'm doing. And then I turned 50, and then I'm like, fuck everything, I just wanna be happy. Meaning, not necessarily anything about giving up or anything, but my focus now is the process of the painting. It's not the end goal, it's not the client, it's not about anything outside of the artwork. All I care about is that I enjoy the process of painting it. The benefit about it is that usually if I'm happy while painting, the painting also becomes very good. The 50 and up to 60, that's gonna be my approach.
So how would you decide to where to set your goal? Like, the problem these days now, we have so many fields we could technically work in. Everything is exciting and kind of like cool. How would you decide on where to actually tackle the road?
I think I'm the completely wrong guy to answer. It was never a question for me. I was just always driven by, this is what I like.
So that could be a good indicator.
Of course, but that's also a little bit, what do you say? It's easy to say. It's just follow your dreams. I mean, yeah, but my dreams is not putting food on the table, right? I mean, it's too easy. But I just think there's nothing wrong with setting goals, and it could be small goals. In the beginning, my goal was to become a fantasy artist, meaning I didn't have to do the jobs that was not fantasy related. Slowly I did historical illustrations. It was guys in armor. I kind of like that, but then slowly up until a moment I was like, okay, now I'm only doing fantasy art. Then I set my goal, I want to work for Wizards of the Coast. I want to do Dungeons & Dragons, I want to do Magic. When I achieved that, it was like, oh shit, what now? But the small setting of goals made it way easier for me to say, I don't like to do this job, I only want to do this job because this job is a stone to the road towards my goal, right? But I think I was super lucky and blessed in the fact that I knew what I wanted to do ever since I was 18, or 16 actually. I knew exactly what I wanted.
There are obviously many obstacles at the moment for people, right? I mean, not going deep into AI, but also like there are things they have to solve to themselves in order to get what I want, right? A lot of people apply, little positions, the industry changes, like how would you, like without losing the enthusiasm, would you focus on just creating what you like to create? Or would you, okay, I'm going to apply for 200 positions until I got my job?
I don't really know. It's gonna sound so arrogant when I say just do what you want, because that's not possible. It's not always possible. But I know one thing. I never had a television. I never had the best iPhone. I never had a lot of things. Lived in a small apartment with my wife. We did a lot of deliberate choices to make sure that we had enough money so that we could follow our dreams. And that meant like really cutting out on so many things. But it also made it possible for us to constantly follow what we wanted to do and be driven by desire and happiness and dreams, rather than having to have a specific job to pay the bills. And that was a deliberate choice. So if that's what it takes for you to follow your dreams, that's what you're going to have to do. And that maybe that means live in the country where nothing is expensive, or it means not going on vacation, but at least you're doing exactly what you want to do. What changed is doing a lot of personal work now, but it all birds. So I started doing studies, bird studies of the different species to understand the shape language of each kind of bird. And it's an amazing experience because now that's what I do in the evening. When my family is doing something else, I'll take an hour. I study a bird and sketch it, and now I'm studying watercolor and all kinds of stuff on it, and I really enjoy it.
Do you combine this with also skill development? Or is it
No,
just...
it is skill development in the fact that I understand shape better, but it's very, very narrowed down to birds.
And you don't focus also specifically on skill development, you just go with the flow of what you want to do, right?
Yeah. But I'm going to do it in the talk tomorrow also. I started my whole drawing joy from drawing birds. I've always known that I want to come back to it somehow. And now with all the photos I'm taking and all the reference that I have, it's so easy for me to say, let's see what this drawing can be. And I just enjoy it. It's kind of like I rediscover the moment I shot in nature by drawing it, and I get to know that bird a little bit better. I get to recognize the species a little bit better because I notice details that I'm not noticing from looking in a book or from seeing it just in the wild, from like trying to understand it from a drawing perspective. That's really, really remarkably fun for me.
Do you ever come close to having something as where you feel like really exhausted, actively doing something to avoid stuff like burnout or like being overworked at sometimes?
Yeah, I think I reached the point where I think burnout is a thing that you're gonna experience. There's no way around it. The question is what you do when it hits you. And every time I've had a point in my life where I've been losing the drive or the happiness in the process of working, I found that it worked for me to do something completely different. Actually, the first time it hit me, I started doing landscape, because the landscape plein air thing is not for anyone. I didn't do it to solve a client. I didn't do it to become better. I didn't do it to fulfill anything except the joy of painting, and that was it. I didn't show the paintings anywhere. I just finished them, put them in the closet. But that made it fun for me again to paint. And I do feel it the same way with this bird photography that I'm doing. It's something I really, really enjoy. It doesn't take anything away from my art. On the contrary, it feeds into my understanding of shape and light and dynamics. It's giving me more joy in painting that I also have this other thing that I enjoy. So I just think that, I think it's super important to do something else, but just constantly training. I mean, there's a certain point where you cannot train anymore, where you need to experience something else. But I can say more thing about the online presence, because I do have an online presence in the fact that I'm using Instagram. I feel obligated to post things on Instagram and show what I'm doing. But it's not only to get the fame and the publicity, it's also for me to share what I think is important. And it gives me a great sense of joy in showing my artwork to people. I don't always read what they say. It's just like, look, more of me. There you go.
Nice. So you don't care basically what other people say. And would you say that if someone is in the stage of processing and the drawings do look also like that, they should still post and continuously show?
It's not that I don't care what people think. I do love it when people like my stuff, and I also I really take it personal when people saying something like whatever they say. But I'm very conscious that this is their opinion, and nothing they say, either good or bad, will take away from the joy I had from painting it.
That was the heavy notes.
Yes, it was.
Do you have a schedule for posting, or do you just post as much as possible?
Yeah, as much as I can remember. And I also have an assistant that helps me create the small videos, and she creates a little bit of the content also.
This whole posting of yours got much better since the last time.
Yes.
Because I think last time we spoke about posting reels.
Yeah, but she's good. She's super good at creating it.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you feel any pressure, like industry pressure still? And how do you handle it?
Do you mean industry pressure in the fact that I think I can lose my job?
Or from a technical standpoint, you maybe have to get better and improve
Oh, yeah, yeah.
for the future? I mean, it could be
Always.
technical.
Every time I deliver something I'm not completely happy with, which is almost all of the time, I'm figuring that, oh, this is the painting where they're all gonna see it. This is where they say, oh, he has no clothes on. This is where they're finally discovering that I can't draw, that I just add beautiful colors, and I constantly think that they will recognize I'm a fraud. That's just the hardest part. And that means I'm super happy every time when you say that thought is pushed away. And that thought can eat you up. That thought about not being good enough and that everyone will see it and the client definitely will not hire you again because you messed it up. It's such a destroying thought for the creative process. And that's why I'm forcing myself to immerse myself in the process of painting and focus on that joy rather than the end product.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a great answer. Because like the channel is always for people who are very afraid or
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things happening,
Yeah.
and you know how deep the psychology of a human can become.
Yeah.
Is there anything where you say like, hey, you want to make art, you want to work as a magic illustrator, just freaking paint, share it with the world, then you will be fine?
Yes. I think I know, at least I was very concerned when I started of what is my style? Is my style professional? Is my style the one that people will want? Will they hire somebody who paints watercolor like I did in the beginning? I was like, oh no, I need to paint oil or no one likes me. If you stop thinking too much about what other people think and focus on what you find is enjoyable. And by that I mean, when you start thinking of every piece like an opportunity for you to add a little bit of your personality, then every piece becomes a personal piece, a little piece of you that you share with the other people. I guarantee that that's going to be visible. And when you look through other people's portfolio and you see all the stuff they did that looks flashy and fine, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, what's this piece? And they say, yeah, that's a personal piece. I can see that, but why is all your other paintings not like this? So my goal when I became more settled in the industry was to say, I want every piece to be personal, because why else? If it's not personal, then you're just a work for hire. And then you could easily have a job that pays better or give you less grievance and headache. It's adamant important that you paint with yourself and your personality, and it transcends into the painting, because that's the only way you're going to be happy.
Awesome.
That was the good note.
That was a good note. Yes. Nice. Thank you so much, Jesper.